Welcome, Risers. It's that time once again for the Agent Rise podcast. I'm your co-host, Neil Mathweg, joined by Mindi Kessenich. And today we're taking our conversation around YouTube. We've been talking YouTube 101, and today we want to take it to the next level because we can't all stick around 101. We got too many things to help you take your game to the next level on YouTube. We mentioned in the previous episodes that it's very, very important to have a studio, have a spot in your home or in your office where you record consistently, and it's your go-to spot. Now, that is really, really good advice to get started and to get going. Now, there's ways that you can grow your channel by getting out of the studio. We also talked about in earlier episodes on how we should really have our keywords set and the moving to and the living in keywords, and how we need to train the algorithm to know that we are covering these keywords. And living in your city and moving to your city are the keywords that we want to address and focus on. Now, once you get going, you want to get a little bit more creative. You want to bring people into your community, and we're going to talk about some different ways that you can do that today. And also, we're going to geek out over a few tools that I just have a love for. And Mindy's, we're going to talk about my studio because because I'm telling you, the studio setup is something you definitely want to take to the next level, and I can tell you how to do it wrong right out of the gate, and we're going to talk about that. So, Mindi, you're now in this stage with your YouTube channel where you're starting to get a little bit more creative and starting to have a little bit more fun with your channel.
Yeah, I'm starting to find my groove, and it can take a little while to do that, I think. I know that if I would have been expected to do some of the stuff we're going to talk about today from the beginning, I never would have started. So today we're going to just share, what you can do once you are congruent, you've found your groove, you've found kind of your niche, and you're really comfortable and consistent with your videos, and you're just ready to take it to the next level.
That's it. And I think the first place you start with this is you've got to lean into your interests. What do you love doing in your hometown? Is it hiking? Is it kayaking? Is it fishing? Is it a love for food? What is it that you are really, really excited about? And when you start to think in that direction, you start to see the buckets a little bit.
Yeah, I love that. It actually just gave me a topic idea. So thanks for that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So let's kind of dig into the buckets a little bit now. Now, what do these buckets look like? You want to start with like your interest in mind, right? Like, what is it that you're interested in your city? Is it hiking? Is it kayaking? Is it biking? Is it running? Is it restaurants? Do you love the food and the restaurants? What is it that you're interested in? And then what is it that your audience needs information on? What is it that you can get out there and get them information on? And you can start to form your buckets around those, the combination of those two.
Right. And I think the important thing is look at what you are already an expert at. And I know starting with those topics has really helped me to keep going, because I know that I've tried to do videos that they're like some of the top videos that you should do, or you're seeing other people do. You're like, I should do that. And then you try and it's like, I don't know how to talk about this because I don't care about it. Like, I don't care about these statistics and these weird things, And so it's going to help you keep consistently recording if you are talking about things that are important to your audience. Obviously, like I can't just go, on YouTube on my, moving to Madison, Wisconsin channel and talk about my puppy, right? Like, buyers that are relocating don't care about my dog. But so they have to be things that are obviously interesting and good to know for the audience, but they also have to be things that you want to share and enjoy sharing.
Yes. And to go with that, a great example is the other dog owners, right? What are those other dog owners looking for in Madison that you could put in videos, right? You do so many different things with your dog. You take her on walks and you take her to different, different parks and different places. Like where are dog friendly parks? Where are dog friendly trails? And again, that dog friendliness can become one of your buckets.
Right. And that's the thing about the buckets is there are a million different directions you could go. There are so many video options out there. And what the buckets do is they provide you with a funnel or a filter to like kind of start create, searching videos. Because otherwise, like I said, like it can be really overwhelming. Like, I don't know, there's all these options and all these agents across the country are doing all these different videos, if you're doing your research. And so it'll help you to figure out like, ooh, I like that idea. Does it fit? Which bucket does it fit in? Or, you can look at like, if you're kind of having like a video block, like a writer's block, you can look at what are the last 3 videos or 4 videos I did and which bucket do I really need to hone in on? Like, have I not touched on for a while? And there's so many different options for buckets too. Like entertainment is one that I don't know that I would necessarily even say that I have like truly my buckets like dialed in yet.
Yes.
I'm still kind of figuring those out, but I do like the entertainment one. And part of that is because I like to go out and do things. I like to go out to eat. I like to like do things that are happening in the communities. And then I take those opportunities a lot of times to take a little bit of B-roll, and those actually inspire me. So I think entertainment will be one of those buckets that I talk about. But this is also how you find your ideal avatar. Is like you've picked these buckets, and then the buyers that are out there that are relocating that have similar interests. It's the same concept as social media, right? Like you want to pick like 3 to 5 topics that you talk about on social media, and only one of them is going to be real estate, because otherwise you won't have any followers. So it's kind of like that concept. Like you're finding the things that like the dog is a perfect example for everything. Like you're going to find other dog owners that are like, oh, she's got a Yorkie, I've got a Yorkie, like I like her,
Yes,
and so now all of a sudden, even if your market is inundated and flooded with YouTubers, well, you've got a bucket that other people don't, that's going to attract, people that have a common bucket, right? Or interest, I shouldn't say. Yeah, they don't have buckets. We only have buckets.
That's right. They're gonna get into our bucket, right?
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, and this is great too, because deciding what buckets you want to go with can be tricky, right? You've got different interests, and the people moving into your area have different interests. And I think about the different YouTubers that I know from across the country that I work with that have different key things in their area that they are the information provider on. Like they really are in the know, and it's around their certain interest, and it's around what people are searching for. Inside Agent Rise, this is the stuff that we help agents develop, and we can really help find your match that matches your interest and matches what people are searching for. And again, you mix these into your videos. You don't do like what I did with I Love Madison back in the day, where the whole thing was all about, cheeseburgers and the best places to eat and all of this. It's a mix. It's got to be a blend, because again, you're reaching a certain audience that is moving to your area, and you are going to be their guide. Another thing we want to talk about today is something that I love that Rochelle Edwards is doing up in Canada. We mentioned her last week on the episode, and then Rochelle and I got messaging back and forth. Rochelle has a really cool twist to everything here, because what she has found is that she gets more engagement the more she is out of the studio. The more she is out and about, the more her audience engages with the video, and her views are climbing there. And so she is really working on getting out of the studio more and more. And she invested in a camera called an Insta360. I mentioned this last week. This thing is the coolest thing ever. And she is doing a lot of videos on trails and a lot of videos in the neighborhoods and in the community. And she's bringing people with her on her journey. Now, we talked about all of the struggles that we have with being out of the studio. You've got the wind, you've got the sun, you've got the rain, you got all these things that stand in your way. And Rochelle is facing those as well. And she knows exactly what I'm talking about. And she's got the challenge around that as well. And she is really leaning in on AI and all of the post-production editing that can make your sound and videos look fantastic. And so she's gone to the next level. She knows the resistance is there, and she's fighting through that resistance, recording those videos, and really growing her channel with these out of the studio kind of videos. So when we say get in the studio and record in the studio, I believe that it's super, super important to start there and get going and get in the groove, get your first 50 to 100 videos out there, there and really get going. And then after that, you can start to add in some of the things that Rochelle is doing and getting out of the studio, and again, taking all of this to the next level. So, so with this, you've got, the buckets. You can form buckets around what you're interested in and what the people are searching for. That's in addition to everything that you're doing with the living in and moving to keywords. And again, with those buckets, don't go away from those keywords. That's important as well. Like when you're doing a video on, things to do in Madison, Wisconsin, right? You're still hitting on those living in and moving to keywords. So very, very important to stay with those keywords, even with those buckets.
So speaking of going to the next level, Neil, talk to us about Descript, because you talk about it so much and I've never used it. I've never really even tapped into it at all. I'm having some FOMO. Like, do I need Descript?
Yes. And the answer for you, Mindi, is you don't, because you have an editor. I mean,
okay.
It's like if you're, to me, Descript is awesome for the DIYer. What I found in Descript is it is a platform of an app that you can record and edit in the same exact app. And so what I've done is I've set up a nice camera on the top of my computer that plugs into my computer. I have a nice Shure microphone that plugs into my computer, and I can go into Descript and I can hit record and I can start recording right there. Then once I'm done recording, I can start editing via words instead of via the timeline that we're all used to editing. If you've ever edited in like Adobe Premiere or in Final Cut or in any editor, even in iMovie and any editor, they all have the timeline. Well, what Descript has done is they've transcribed the entire video, and then they've made all of the words connected to the timeline. So if you delete word, nice. It deletes it in the timeline. Yeah. And in addition to that, there's even AI into it. So it automatically can remove the ums and the ahs. I have a problem of saying right all of the time, and I can remove all of the rights. You have a problem, Mindi, of saying all the time. so,
I do?
Yeah. Descript says, do you want to remove all the knows?
I didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know,
See, there it is. Yeah. So
that's so
Descript,
funny.
Yeah. And those are all called filler words.
So it's almost like a therapist or something, like picking out, like,
Yes. Yeah. So those are all called filler words, and you can remove the filler words just by one push of a button. You can even select what filler words you want to remove. Like I don't remove your knows, because your knows go so well with what you're talking about that it would feel blank without it. But
and that's how everyone remembers that I'm from Wisconsin. Right. And when they're there, I did it. Now I'm going to see. Now I'm going to know.
I should have never told you. I should have never told you.
I have to go on to do like a presentation after this, and I'm going to be so paranoid. Right. But that's how people know that I'm from Wisconsin. Right. That's my telltale accent.
We leave those in there. Yep. And so this is and then with AI, with Descript too, there is so much more, but just editing via words makes it so much faster. And now that you've recorded the video, okay, like what's different, Neil? I could record my video in my iPhone and send it off to an editor, and they could do all of it. Well, if you record in Descript, you can also edit in Descript, and so you're going to go through and edit. Then after that, let's say that you're editing the video and you're like, oh, I got another thought. There's something else I could add to this video. You can literally hit record wherever that cursor is at and pop back on the camera and add whatever you want to add. And before Descript, if you did that, you would have your camera, you'd have to set your camera back up, you'd have to airdrop another video over to your computer that has this, you'd have to embed it in the video. I mean, it would take an hour to add. You would never ever add anything more to your video. It would take forever. Where with Descript, it's boom, it's right there. You can hit record and then record right in wherever it was at. It'll put it right in the video, and your camera is already set up, your lights are still set up, you're editing in the same place that you're recording in. So it allows you to be a better creator is is what I'm seeing. And this is, I've been using it for about 3 to 4 months, 5 months now. And oh gosh, it's probably even been longer than that because it was before the summit. It's probably been 6, 7 months now. I've been using Descript, and it I can edit like in a fraction of the time. And another thing too with Descript is it has everything embedded into it. So I used to edit in Final Cut Pro, and then I'd go over to Envato and get B-roll that I would subscribe to, and then I would go to another source to get my music, and I would have to download all of that and bring it in. Well, with Descript, it's all there. They have B-roll that you can use right there. You just bring it, slide it in. They have music that's right there. You store your files, you create templates. It's just, they rethought video editing, and they did a fantastic job with it. And so, I don't get paid to say any of that. I should say that I just have a love for Descript, and I'm geeking out over it. And yeah. And if you
keep in mind too that Descript is a great way to start, but eventually, you're going to want to leverage all of this and get yourself an editor. We highly recommend Video Ease. That's who I use, and they're great. We have a really great discount that you can get if you're an Agent Rise member. So, just another perk of being an Agent Rise member. But so Descript is a great way to get going, to get started, to save a little bit of money, but you're going to spend more time. And so eventually when you want to leverage that time, the editor is going to be like the 2.0 version.
Also, to continue to speak about taking everything to the next level, let's talk about the studio. You can start out very basic and, pick a corner in your house and just start recording there. Or you can, do what I did and go rent an office space and build a studio. And you can build the studio wrong too, can't you, Mindy? I mean, I think it was starting out, I thought I was on the right path, and then I quickly took the wrong turn.
Neil tried to work in his zone of competence-ish. And he didn't consult with his design coach, and we had to pivot a little bit there. And and just to remind you guys, this isn't how necessarily he started. Like, he didn't immediately edit an office, or he didn't immediately rent an office. This was like 2.0. I'm ready for an office. Agent Rise needed an office, and then it was, okay, how do I make this office into a really great recording studio? And obviously sound was the first step. Yeah. And so Neil took the bull by the horns, and he's like, I got this. And he logged into Amazon and he bought a bunch of carpet squares.
There were sound panels
to stick on his wall.
Very expensive sound panels. And I thought, I'm just going to do a solid blue. I love the color blue. I look good behind blue. I'm going to do a solid blue. And literally right before I order it, I see this image in Amazon where somebody mixed the tiles. They had mainly blue, but then they had light blue sporadically mixed out. And I'm like, oh, that looks kind of sharp. I'll do that. So then I'm going to order 4 packs of this one color and 2 packs of this other color. Well, then I get them. And I start doing this, and then I realized that I don't have enough, so I ordered more. And now I ordered more because I'm like, I don't think that sporadic color thing looks very good. I'm going to order more. And now I get a third blue. So now I got 3 different blues going on. And I'm on a Monday night group coaching call. I'm starting to put them up in here. I'm all excited. I'm in my new office, and those that are in the membership, I'm like, hey guys, the studio's not set up, but I'm going to do my first one from the studio. And I remember Matt Tafiti goes, dude, are you sitting in a bathroom? Because the tiles behind me look like bathroom tiles. So Mindy messaged me while I was on the call. She's like, call me afterwards. I will help you. This is a mess.
Yeah. Yeah. And so we talked through trying to save the carpet tiles. That's what I call them. Because when I saw them, I'm like, are those for your kindergarten students to sit on when you read story time? What are those?
Those watching on YouTube, they don't look that bad, right? Or maybe they do.
Well, yes, but they don't look nearly as good as the wood panels that we ended up switching to. So like it took me like 5 minutes to find a different, better alternative. And I said, you're just going to have to cut your losses, Neil, and order these like pronto. And now you look great. And now you're adding to it, right? Like you're adding a table behind you and then some
and
lighting,
then some other things. And I'm still trying to find the lamp, and she's cut me down a couple of times.
Nope, we're not going to do the 1990s IKEA paper lampshade. No,
it would pop. It would no.
Lamps are cheap. We can find you a really nice brand new one.
It's coming together, guys. It's coming together. So what we're saying here is call Mindi for all your design design needs. No, but like your studio, give it some thought. And I think too, like I'm seeing, like I just saw Eddie Brady's yesterday. He's redoing his studio, and he's taking his YouTube game to the next level. He's got, his business is really growing around YouTube, and he just wants to continue to hone in on it. And with that, he's setting up a new studio. And there's just, you'll find your way with it. Just keep leaning into it, but don't let, I always want to say this, don't let it get in the way of your production, right? I mean, I've recorded videos in all different kinds of places and all different kinds of spots. Don't ever let your studio slow you down. And just keep making mistakes. Keep, order the bathroom tiles and, and then just keep growing.
Yeah. I mean, mine is just in my office. I literally go from working on my contracts on my desktop computer to popping my phone into a tripod and I hit record. So, and eventually I may decide to do, some soundproofing or, have another little corner. Cause actually what you've learned too, Neil, is it's really actually great if you have an office that doesn't have a window. So mine is like full of windows, which, can be great, but also if you can find a dark closet or, corner, little tiny room of your house and set up a desk, that could be a great opportunity. Put some soundproofing panels in there, get some good lighting for the front and the back.
That's with this office here. It has no windows. And so, I invested in really good lighting, spent a few $100s on a really nice box light and, and then some nice side key lights here and hair lights and just making the lighting come alive. And that's the trick when you're in a dark room. But the nice thing is when you're in a dark room, you have nothing that's, it's consistent, right? I come in here, flip the lights on. It's super consistent. I started the Onion Juice podcast in my cedar closet. The previous owners of my home that I bought back in Madison, Wisconsin, the previous owners had a cedar closet down in the basement, and that's where I started the Onion Juice podcast. It was I even still left the clothes and stuff in there because it sounded really good. Yeah. And back then it was just an audio, but today I would start there. You can really literally start anywhere. Just have a place that's yours and you can stay consistent.
If you want to keep learning about YouTube, because it's just like every other platform, the algorithms change, what they're pushing out changes. There's shorts, and now we're talking about how to add shorts in there. If you want to know all about that and constantly be learning along with us, join us at Agent Rise. We have masterminds for YouTube. We help you with your buckets. We are constantly talking about it because it is so successful, and we're seeing so many agents come alive during this kind of hard time because of YouTube. So this is a great opportunity to jump into Agent Rise, become a member, and get really amazing coaching on YouTube and, all the other things that were like the opportunities that are out there right now.
That's it. And and this is the thing too with YouTube is it's a climb, right? You gotta battle through this. You need to understand what videos you need to be doing, what the keywords need to be, how to get comfortable on camera, how to just come alive and get in this routine of building these videos. And you can't do it alone. You really need to be in community, and it will really help you get going. So join us at Agent Rise, and we'll help you get there. And thank you so much for listening to the Agent Rise podcast. Hope you have a great day. And like always, remember to be the reason somebody smiles today.